everyone, and welcome to the only positive mental health show out there, the Chrissy B Show. Now, have you ever said to yourself, stop feeling sorry for yourself? Has a friend ever said that to you, maybe your mum or your partner? Well, did you know that strong minds often change their self-pity or misery or depression even to something called gratitude? Yes, that's right, being grateful or thankful and acknowledging all that you have instead of focusing on all the negative feelings, emotions and situations can have a big impact on your mental health. On today's show, we'll be revisiting some of our most extraordinary survival real-life stories, and John Cooper, founder of detonations.com, will be telling us his mission to change the world through acts of kindness. And finally, our wonderful coach, Chris Brown, he'll be on with me to talk about gratitude, which is something that he's very passionate about, and you'll see why later. So according to Psychology Today, there are 7 scientifically proven benefits of gratitude. And today, here at the Chrissy B Show, we're going to go through each one just for you. So let's start off with the first one. Gratitude opens the doors to more relationships. So we all know that saying thank you is good manners, but according to a 2014 study published in Emotion, showing appreciation can help you win new friends. So just by saying thank you to a new acquaintance makes them more likely to seek ongoing relationships with you. So there are so many ways that you can say thank you for. You can maybe send a thank you note, or you can email a colleague to say thank you. Maybe you can buy a coffee for someone new that did you a favor. So when you actually acknowledge other people's efforts, it actually leads to opportunities for you. And so this goes a lot further than people just thinking that you're a nice person with good manners. So the second point is gratitude improves physical health. So according to a 2012 study published in Personality and Individual Differences, grateful people experience fewer aches and pains and report feeling healthier than other people. Now, what's the reason for this? Well, apparently grateful people are more likely to take care of their health, so they exercise more often and are more likely to attend regular checkups. So perhaps this is because they're grateful to be alive and they make the most of what they have. But there may be some of you out there who've tried and failed time and time again to get fit. So for you guys out there, here is some advice from our ever so reliable fitness expert, Jane Rafter.
Hi guys, I want to talk to you today if you have tried and failed to get fit, and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who can relate to that. You know, you might have had times where you've tried to join a gym and you haven't gone or whatever. So what you got to do is ask yourself why you failed and have a look at the logistics of it, because what a lot of people do is say, well, I'm going to go to 3 classes a week and I'm going to go 3 evenings a week and I'm going to get fit. But actually, the reality is that they can't fit those 3 evenings in. It's not realistic, and so they fail. So have a look and have a think about your own personality and realistically what you can do. Start with a small goal. So instead of saying I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, say I'm going to go once a week and maybe do a walk or something else and build it up slowly. Maybe you can look at morning exercise, lunchtime or weekends, you know, get a buddy to go with you, but really make sure that your goal is realistic and that it's going to logistically work for you. Put it in your diary and make it happen. Put a red ring around it, start with your small steps and build it up slowly and you'll get there.
Okay, so thank you very much to the lovely Jane Rafter. So let's now go to the next point. Gratitude improves psychological health. Now, a leading gratitude researcher called Robert Emmons did lots of studies looking at the link between gratitude and well-being, and he found that gratitude actually increases happiness and reduces depression. So when you're grateful, you're less likely to give in to those toxic kinds of emotions, such as envying other people for what they have, to getting overly frustrated at work. And it helps you to see life through a different perspective. So for example, let me talk about maybe how you can look at your best friend that has more than you. So you could look at your best friend and say, oh, you know what? She's got the kind of man that I want. She's got the kind of house that I want. this person has, you know, the kind of clothes that I want to wear. So you can look at that in a negative way and say to yourself, you know, feel sorry for yourself and actually start to get jealous of your friend and even affect your actual friendship and your relationship with that person. Or you can actually look at your friend and say, okay, I'm happy for my friend. I'm glad my friend's got all those good things in life. I'm really glad and thankful for the opportunities that my friend is having. But let me see what he or she does to get to that point in the first place. Let me try and emulate maybe some of the positive things that I see him or her doing. So maybe they're hardworking, maybe they've got that kind of determined spirit. So instead of looking at things in a negative way and feeling down and feeling jealous and envious, you're actually changing the way that you're thinking. You're looking at someone more to be inspired by them rather than actually being jealous and letting all those negative emotions get to you. Okay, so now let's go to the fourth point, which is gratitude enhances empathy. Now this one is quite an important one. According to a 2012 study by the University of Kentucky, grateful people are more likely to behave in a pro-social way, even when others behave less kindly. And the reason for that, apparently they're more sensitive towards other people and have a decreased desire to seek revenge. So let's talk about in the case of someone hurting you. Say someone did something to you, they upset you, they said something or maybe did something that really hurt you. And instead of letting that go and moving on with your life, you develop hard feelings inside. So you get that kind of grudge. And every time you see that person, you feel really low, you feel like tightness in your chest and like, you know, it just basically ruins your day if you even see that person or someone mentions that person. So a grateful person can see things in a different light. They can actually look at that person and say, well, you know what, they did hurt me, they did something that upset me, but what are they going through in their life right now? Maybe they were having a bad day, if it was something not so serious. Maybe they're going through a really tough time right now. Maybe there's a family member that's sick in hospital and their mind was somewhere else. They're not thinking about how their actions or how what they say is actually affecting other people. And you just happen to be there at the time and you bore the brunt of it. So if you try to kind of see things differently and actually understand people, understand maybe that, you know, people are from different backgrounds, they've had different upbringings, some people have been more fortunate than others. So you kind of, if you try to understand people more and understand that maybe they're going through a hard time themselves, it's going to make you less likely to hold those kind of things in. So I think that's a really important point because, you know, you don't want to develop grudges. And obviously, I don't know if you know as well, even doctors have said, there's been studies that have been done that say that if you have ill feelings towards people, if you hold grudges against people, it can actually lead to heart disease. So it affects you physically as well as mentally, and no one wants that. Okay, so that was actually 4 out of the 7 points that we have for you today. And we are going to be covering the other 3 later on. And I'll be having Coach Chris Brown with me later on. So please make sure not to miss those points. And after this short break, we'll be revisiting some of our extraordinary survival real life stories. And guys, their stories are really powerful. So please don't go away.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show. And if you've just joined us, today is all about the 7 scientifically proven benefits of gratitude and how being grateful can make a huge difference to your mental health. And now we'd like to revisit some of our most extraordinary survival stories that we've had on the show. Let's start with Jacqueline Boateng. Hello, Jacqueline, welcome back.
I'm good, thank you, Chris. How are you?
You're well, thank you.
Good.
So I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of your story. I do know parts of it because she has been on TV before, explaining your story. But let's just go through maybe this first part before the break about the stuff that happened in Uganda and maybe some of the things that happened to you when you came over here. So just to summarise for the viewers, you grew up in Uganda.
I did, yeah.
You were looked after by your aunties and Is that right? Your
That's
auntie?
correct, yeah, relatives and aunties and uncles and yeah.
Yeah, and you were telling me last time as well that you felt a bit abandoned by your parents because your dad was in the army, was it?
I did, yeah. I did. It was quite really difficult at the time, I think. And I think looking back now, it was even more difficult. But at the time, because we were so young, it didn't have so much of an impact on us until later on. So, but it was really difficult.
Now, you suffered terrible, terrible abuse and neglect.
I did, yeah.
Because you often got beaten
Yeah.
for the silliest of things, and it wasn't just like a little slap, was it?
No, it was constant beating and really severe beatings, to the point that I had to be put into a coma because of the beatings. And for me, that was really difficult. And even like now as an adult,
I still. You said?
The truth is, nobody knows, because the relatives that were looking after me in that moment, they're still trying to conceal certain information because they don't want my mom finding out, because she'll be really upset. It was so difficult because constantly being beaten up, had fractured bones. Even in my adult life, I still bear some of the scars of the beatings. Like my legs, for instance, they're not straight because of the beatings and the fractures and everything. So
you actually had bones broken, fractured?
I had, arms, everything. So it was really, it was quite intense, really, really difficult. But at the time, I think because I was young and just, for me really, the way I was seeing life, it was like taking each day as it came. I never really had a moment to dream and say, oh, maybe I'm going to be alive when I'm older, when I'm 15, 20, this is what I want to do. I didn't have, for me, that was too much of a dream. So all I could do was just hold on to each day as it came.
You see how some people take like a normal life for granted? Oh yeah. There's you're a child in that situation, being constantly beaten, not being fed properly, all that kind of stuff. And there's like, and you couldn't even think about the future because you were so into what was going on then, and like all the trauma that you were going through in that particular time. And then there's kids that, you know, have got such good parents, and they complain and they moan about the smallest thing. Oh, mum doesn't let me have a phone. Oh, come on. Please, I hope there's some teenagers watching now that just complain about every little thing. Yeah. When you compare your life to what Jacqueline went through, you should appreciate what you have. Sorry, I'm going to the one now.
Yeah, no, it is true. It must be said, because I think sometimes what happens, and even the way I am nowadays, when I look back into my life, I actually do value and appreciate my life now. Of course, it's not a perfect life where everything is, you know, what you want is there, but at least because I've overcome some of the issues I have overcome, even to the point my mom was saying to me a while ago, she said to me, you are just different, you're just different out of all my kids, because regardless of everything that I have gone through, it was so bad that when my mom found out, and of course it wasn't her choice for us to be abandoned, when she found out, she then was even more affected by everything that we went through. Her discovering that I was sexually abused, not once, not twice. I was neglected. And sometimes when we talk about abuse, especially in terms of kids being abused, there's different kinds of abuse. But what is mainly highlighted is the sexual abuse, the neglect, but there's all kinds of abuse. And all of those kinds, I experienced them. So it's very sad that, you know, my mum was then suffering, which was really difficult and painful for me, that she was suffering for things that I have overcome.
You know, I remember when I was interviewing Jacqueline, when she was talking about everything that she'd been through, it was such a harrowing experience that she had, but she just had this smile on her face the whole time when she was telling her story. And you know, when I asked her about that, she said it's because she doesn't actually have any of those ill feelings or the grudges or anything. You know, I actually spoke about that earlier, didn't I? She didn't have any of those ill feelings anymore. So when she speaks about her story, it's like she's actually speaking about someone else, completely different. And that's the power of what can happen when you forgive and when you're grateful that you are alive and that you've moved on with your life and you have good things in your life now. You know, today she's married, she has a child. So things have really turned around for her, and she's grateful for what she has today. So, you know, even though what she went through was horrible, but look at her life today, wonderful. Now, the next story that I want to revisit is one of our previous guests on the show, who before was a young man training with David Beckham until a stab wound left him wheelchair bound. Let's take a look back at Glenn Fielder's story. thank you so much for being here today.
No problem, my pleasure.
Now, you've got quite a powerful story, and I know there's lots for us to talk about, but I'd just like to ask you, first of all, how was life at 16 for a young man? What kind of dreams did you have and things like that?
Okay, at 16 years pre-injury, I went to school in East London. Academically, I was pretty average, really, but sport was where I excelled. I was an 8 and 1500 metre school record holder and district champion, but, you know, football was where my real passion lied.
When did you know you had a talent for football? Were you quite young?
From a young age, I always really loved football, and I progressed as I got older, you know, playing Sunday League football. I represented the school, Sunday League clubs, district, county level, and various professional London football clubs. And being a professional footballer was my lifetime ambition and my dreams.
So can we ask who you wanted to play for? Was that a secret?
Yeah, well, I'd love to play with Spurs. They are
okay.
my main team, you know. But I mean, I've still got a season ticket over there now. I mean, I really do enjoy it now. Yeah, and becoming a professional footballer was my lifetime ambition. So fortunately for me, when I came to leaving school age, I was offered my first professional contract as a young professional with Leighton Orient Football Club. And yeah, I was living my dream. And hopefully with a lot of hard work, I would have achieved the ultimate level of my ultimate ambition of playing at the highest level possible. And yeah, it was shortly after that, I was invited to a party. It was 17th of January 1987, and I went along, had a great evening. It was held in a hall, came out of the hall as it was closing up, to be confronted by really what can only be described as like a mass brawl. About 10, 12 guys having a punch up there. Nothing to do with me and my friend. We sort of turned in the other direction, walked away.
Just minding your own business.
Minding our own business.
Just left.
Yeah. We walked 50, 100 yards down the road where there was a crowd gathered and a guy was on the floor, laying unconscious on the pavement. And I went over and said, you know, anyone called a guy an ambulance? He was passed out, blood pouring from his head. My friend ran into an ambulance, ran into an off licence to ring for an ambulance, so I should say. And while we was waiting for this ambulance to come along, which seemed like an absolute age, but really it was probably around 5, 10 minutes, the fight was getting nearer and nearer with all these guys, until it was virtually upon us. And with that, I sort of stood up, still went back to what was going on, and that is when I received the short, sharp thud in my back and collapsed to the floor. I'd been stabbed.
Gosh, and that was completely unprovoked. You were there trying to help.
That's right, yeah.
Someone else.
Yeah, just a bystander, yeah.
But why, I mean, did you find out why this guy came up and stabbed you? What was going through his head?
No, I mean, like I said, it seemed like a crazy moment. The guy's obviously had a knife on him, and there was a massive punch up going on. Thought I maybe had something to do with it, nothing to do with me. He just come and stuck a knife in my back. And then what took place can only be described as I received a ferocious beating from 6 different guys.
Oh my gosh.
They set about me with a cosh, beat me from head to toe, jumped on my head, kicked, punched me while I was unconscious all the while. Jumped on my head, jumped on my chest, my lung collapsed, and I stopped breathing. And fortunately for me, the police and the paramedics arrived at that sort of time, and they revived me and brought me back. And I was then taken to Bart's Hospital in East London, where I underwent an exploratory operation to see what damage had been done.
I'm just speechless, you know, it's just disgusting what people do. It's awful.
Yeah, and they removed a piece of bone from my spine. It was more of an exploratory operation. I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't know much what was going on, to be honest with you, because I was on sedative drugs, and, you know, I was there for 2 or 3 days. I was then transferred to Stoke Mandeville Hospital in Buckinghamshire, which is a spinal injuries unit, where I was to begin 11 months of rehabilitation.
Wow.
Really, and it was in those very early days, the first few weeks I was coming around from the sedative drugs, that I began to realise that something very bad was wrong with me, because I couldn't move or feel a thing from below my chest. And that's when my parents were given the job, and to this day said it's the hardest thing they've ever had to do, of breaking the news to me that I was going to be paralysed for the rest of my life from below the chest, and I'd never walk again.
So your parents had known for a while, had they? And they were just trying to build up the...
They had known, they'd been told the bad news because my spinal cord had been severed and I was paralysed, completely paralysed. And as you can imagine, this came as a devastating blow. I was absolutely inconsolable. why me? I asked myself, you know, why me? Why have I done to deserve this? You know, I felt as though someone had dropped a 10-ton weight from a height and sort of just shattered my dreams and my lifetime ambitions. And though they'd ripped my chest open and ripped out my heart and my soul, I felt as though my life was over. I felt I was absolutely gutted. The term gutted is you couldn't even sort of put into terms how I actually felt. The hatred I had towards this guy for what he'd actually done and what he'd taken away from me for no reason whatsoever was, I couldn't even describe it. It was so much anger and resentment there. And like I said, you know, five months later, I was still in hospital, but we had the court case. And the guy that did this to me, he received 6 years.
Is that it?
He received 6 years for an unprovoked attack. And I remember the uproar in court. It was like 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah, my friends and family, he's received 6 years. Where's the justice? There's no justice in that. You know, I've received a lifetime disability.
What did you do? What did you think?
Well, I couldn't believe it. It was, you know, I thought, he's just given me life. I never asked for it. It was an unprovoked attack. He's just given me lifetime disability. He took all my dreams and ambitions away, and he's getting 6 years. You know, where was the justice in that? And all that did really was fuel me with more hate, more anger, more resentment towards what he'd done to me, for what he'd actually done and took away from me, you know? But I mean, I kept my eyes on this guy and what had actually happened and how his life had gone on, and I kept my tabs on him, and he was a persistent offender. He'd been in and out of prison over the years, you know, for various different crimes he'd committed. He was a drug user, had been in and out of psychiatric units. And I decided to, I looked at his life and I decided to compare his life with my life. You know, and here I was, okay, I'm injured, I've got disability now, but I was married to a beautiful lady. I've got 2 beautiful children. I am self-employed, I drive a hand-controlled taxi for a living. I own my own house. All these things that
He didn't have.
Pre-injury, and after the injury just happened, I was told I was never going to be able to achieve all these things. I thought we were well out of reach, so I was quite proud of myself that I'd actually gone on in my life.
So as you can see, Glenn wanted to get revenge throughout the years, and you know, it had overwhelmed him at some points, and he was so angry, he really wanted to get back at the person that, you know, that stabbed him. But something changed and he became grateful for the life he ended up having, which was really, really inspiring to hear. And it's so nice when someone actually has that moment when they actually reflect on their life and they see that the way they're looking at things and the way they're feeling isn't doing them any good whatsoever. It's that time when the mind kind of overtakes what the heart's feeling. So it's like you're saying, heart, feelings, emotions, I'm going to put you to the side. I'm going to use my head and I'm going to look at life differently. And that's when his life actually changed. That's when he was set free from everything that was inside of him. And that is so, so important. And Glenn, if you're watching, thank you so much for such a lovely and inspiring story. And I'm sure you're doing really, really well. We do hope that through these 2 very different stories of survival, we've shown you that amidst all of the dark and painful experiences in life, there is still so much to be grateful for. And that's what we should always try to remember and focus on. Now, if you've had a similar experience like Jacqueline or Glenn, or have a story you'd like to share, get in touch by filling in the form on chrissybshow.tv, or let us know your thoughts by tweeting us at Chrissy B Show, or comment on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Up next, we have founder of detonations.com telling us about his mission to change the world through acts of kindness. We'll be right back.
Don't forget to subscribe to The Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to today's show, where we are discussing the 7 benefits of gratitude. And just before the break, we look back at 2 very powerful real-life stories. Now, before we meet our next guest, we want to play you this short video about a charity that gives back to the community in a slightly unusual but equally effective way. Let's check this out.
This is the flowers challenge. We're gonna give these flowers to random people. Yeah, let's see what happens.
So it doesn't actually take much to make people smile. Just small acts of kindness can really make someone's day. So now joining me via Skype all the way from Switzerland is Detonations founder John Cooper. Hello, John.
Hi, Chrissy.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
So good to have you on the show. So John, you have come up with a very, very interesting concept. Can you tell us about Detonations, where the idea came from and how it's all going?
Yeah, so you actually mentioned like the word charity there. This is actually something a little bit different. So this isn't about giving back to society. This is about giving first. So it's a little bit of a mindset shift in how we interface with the world and society. So instead of giving back, this is about us taking the first step to actually give first and unconditionally give. So it's about how we interact with our fellow stranger on the streets. And it's about just giving unconditionally without any need for reciprocity. And by doing so, it actually removes a lot of anxiety, because if we're 100% outward oriented, then actually we're 0% self. So it's actually very, very healing. It can actually remove a lot of suffering.
Now, I know, for example, that, like you're saying, when you give unconditionally and it does make you happy. And I don't know, that's scientifically proven as well. So, you know, it is a great concept that you've come up with. But can you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into this in the first place?
Yeah, well, I started off getting dumped by the love of my life, and it actually created a big trauma within me. And from that place of trauma and like feeling really heartbroken, I went out into the world and I tried to consume to make myself feel better. So I looked for certain pacifications and certain consumer products in order to make myself feel temporarily whole. But what I realized was it was like filling a hole. That's the way I describe it. It's like filling a hole. And what I then learned was, as I healed my own heart and as I came to a lot of inner balance with myself and did a lot of meditation work, I realized that I don't need to go out and plunder into the external world in order to make myself feel whole. I can actually do that myself. And then once I felt full, then I could unconditionally give to others, like the sun shining, for instance. So it's about the difference between filling a hole and feeling whole. And then I struck upon that, and it was like gold for me. And I realized, actually, if I can just get as many people as possible coming from a place of unconditional giving, it can actually make the world better. And you know, what I realized was someone that's empty needs to take, and someone that feels full can give. And so that's the concept that I brought into this Detonations project.
Okay. Now, why the word Detonations? How did you come up with that?
Well, it's kind of like a bit of a near-the-knuckle catchy word, but it has a few different meanings in that. And one is debt of nations, so it's about actually like giving to society in that way, and it's like many different countries. But also I like the idea of subverting a word that has a negative connotation and actually using that concept to actually create a positive connotation for it. So they're like little tiny explosions of kindness and giving. So that's what I thought would be a funny, interesting type.
Great name. So how keen were people to get on board when you told them about it?
Yeah, okay, so basically I started this off, and I would do things like, when it was raining, I'd be running around and like holding my umbrella over people's heads who didn't have an umbrella. And I just did that for a while. And I started these little videos, these little viral videos. And actually I started to get people saying, hey, I love this concept. I really love it. Can I get involved? So I started creating different agents in different cities around the world. And so what happens is on the same day each month, we call it D-Day, we go out and we do these acts of unconditional giving. So the video you just showed was giving flowers out to people. We did that on Valentine's Day. We've also go into a supermarket and we pay for the old ladies' shopping.
Oh, that's lovely.
Another one we did was where we give our unwanted clothes to a homeless person. Now, the beauty of this is, if you've heard of the Ice Bucket Challenge, this is very similar in that we create little autonomous viral videos that we then nominate 3 people at the end of each video. So we did one which was called, as I said, the Nice Bag Challenge. That was the giving the clothes to the homeless people. And actually, we nominated some people, and it actually went viral, and it's going off all over Slovakia at the moment, where people are giving all their clothes to homeless people and keeping them warm. So each individual detonation has the power to create like another Ice Bucket Challenge. And so the idea behind this is if we get enough agents and enough cities involved, then pop, 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 every city gets involved, and each agent creates a bigger and a bigger community, until eventually the dream is fulfilled when this isn't just something we do each month, this is something that we all do all the time.
That is absolutely amazing. It's so great that you've got such a big vision for it all as well.
Yeah,
Now, how many people are actually involved at the moment?
So we have about I think we've got about 8 to 10 different agents, and they're developing their own communities in their own cities.
Great. Okay.
And you know, we're open to more agents, and then let's try and get a different agent in each city.
That was brilliant. How much do you think your own sort of personal struggles have kind of fueled what you do, and makes you kind of want to keep going?
You know, I think every breakthrough needs a breakdown first, in a way. And I had my breakdown, and I went into a bit of a cave, into a bit of a hole. And through that adversity, I was able to graduate through the process and come out with the gold. So the lesson that I learned was actually healing my own heart, doing the internal work, and from that place, I'm now able to share that wisdom and empower other people to do that self-exploration work themselves and come from a place of unconditional giving.
Okay. Now, if someone wants to get involved with Detonations, what should they do?
Well, they can just message me. They can go on the website, detonations.com. They can find me and just message me, and I'm open to, to getting as many people involved as possible.
That's great. John, I think it's amazing what you're doing, and all the best for the future. And actually, we're going to watch one of your other videos now of the homeless stuff that you do as well. That's great. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
All right, so let's take a look at this videos of John Cooper and his team in action.
Okay, so we've all heard of the Ice Bucket Challenge. Many of you have done it already. Now, I'm sure you guys didn't do that just to show off or some form of self-congratulation. So I've got the Nice Bag Challenge. So basically what this is I've filled up a bag of all the clothes I'm no longer going to wear anymore. I'm going to give it to a homeless person. So for this challenge, I nominate Daniel Colbert, I nominate Shoshana, and I nominate Ivana. And you all have to do this challenge, and then I want you to also nominate 3 people as well. So let's see what happens. Hey man, listen, I've got clothes. Do you want my clothes? Yes. To keep warm, Yeah, I have a bag here for you. Okay, just to keep warm and more clothes. Yeah. It's Yakashikla, Bugan Yakashikla.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, so what's your name? Ahmed. So Ahmed, I've given him the clothes. So now you can say you're being warm for Christmas.
Thank you, I am warm for Christmas. Thank you very much.
Now we go, there we go.
Thank you.
Okay, there you go, man. Look how happy he is. That makes me feel good as well, And, you could be doing that before you even go out the house. How many clothes do you not wear? When was the last time you looked through your wardrobe and actually had a look? Like, you don't wear half the stuff. You could actually get rid of 90% of your clothes, I reckon, and you probably wouldn't even use it, but you're like, oh, but, that's a very special bit of clothing, but you've had it for 5 years and you've never actually worn it. So I would say, take some clothes that you don't use, go out and give it to homeless people. He was so happy. He was so happy.
Well, that was a very touching video, and I hope it inspires everyone to go out and do something for other people too. Well, don't go away, because after this quick break, I'll be wrapping up the last 3 benefits of gratitude and sharing my own wisdom on how showing gratitude and giving thanks can transform your life. And of course, I'll be joined by Coach Chris Brown. See you in a sec.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show. Always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the 7 benefits of gratitude here on the Chrissy B Show. Now I'm joined by Coach Chris Brown to go through the last 3 points with me. Hello Chris.
Hi Chrissy. Listen, that was great. Love the video that was shown earlier on as well. Very interesting. And when you think about it, gratitude in itself. I mean, I myself, as soon as I've opened my eyes in the morning, first thing I say is, thank you. Mm-hmm. We've got to take the simple things as well and think, well, we've got to be grateful for them, no matter what it is. Yep.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
Great one.
I remember actually when I was visiting someone in hospital, and I saw like so many people bedbound and they couldn't go out anywhere, and this was abroad as well, and it's like I could see the sea from the hospital window, and so could they, some of them, if they leaned up a bit, and I was like, I felt so bad for them, and at the same time so grateful that I could actually walk around and be healthy and everything like that. Sometimes it's when you're in those kind of situations that you see how blessed you are, how grateful you should be.
I think sometimes we tend to take things for granted until we've had a situation where you've got a comparison and you can see. You know, in that video as well that you showed earlier on, I mean, that was great. Was it John Cooper?
Yeah.
Right? And detonations, and they were giving out roses, and I thought, and you saw the reactions of people along the way. I must say one thing though. There was one where a guy ran across, right, and he gave this guy's girlfriend a rose,
that was a bit.
And the guy went, "Thank you for giving my girlfriend a rose." And I thought, well, I don't know, but good stuff, great stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
really
keep it going, and you know that film, Pay It Forward.
Yeah,
much of that going on, the same thing. Great stuff. Brilliant.
And you're actually involved in something as well yourself, where you give out.
Yes, I am.
Tell us about that.
I go out with a group. It's with a charity, and they're called the Night Angels. And what the Night Angels do, we go out in the middle of the night.
You put your little wings on and go out.
We got little wings and we fly, right? And we go around the city, we go around town and everything like that, and we look out for the homeless people, you know, the addicts, and we spend time with them and, you know, talk, go through and see what we can do, how we can help. And we invite them back to the organisation. You know, it's been really great. Talking about gratitude, we've had some homeless people come along to the organisation as well after, and gradually you see their lives changing, their attitude, they clean themselves up, they get a more positive mind.
Just because someone believed in them enough to stop them and say something.
Yes, and passed a word to them that made a difference to them as well, you know.
Brilliant.
So it's been great, and just seeing their faces walk in, that gratitude, that whole feeling, it's just amazing. Not to say, oh great, thank you, you've done this, but to see that you can actually help someone just by speaking to them or giving them, helping them out. It's great. Night Angels, check it out. Might buy you.
So, all right, so let's just recap for those of you that maybe just joined us, the first 4 points that we went through. So the first thing that gratitude is good for, it opens the door to more relationships. So we spoke about that one first. The second point was that it improves physical health. The third one was that it improves your psychological health. And the fourth one is gratitude enhances empathy and reduces aggression. So now let's go to the fifth point that we have for you today. Grateful people sleep better. There's a better missing off there, but grateful people definitely sleep. So there was a 2011 study done by Applied Psychology, Health and Wellbeing Writing, and they found that just by spending 15 minutes writing down a few things that you are grateful for before going to bed may actually help you sleep better and longer. That's amazing, isn't it?
That is great. That is great. Yeah. And a peaceful sleep makes all the difference, you know. So what they do, they write down each person or whatever they're grateful for. Yeah. That's brilliant. I'd go with that.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
Great.
Okay. And the next point is number 6. Gratitude improves self-esteem. Now, sometimes when you sort of read the first bit without actually seeing the studies, you kind of wonder, how does gratitude improve self-esteem? Or how does gratitude improve sleep? But when you actually go into it, it's so interesting. Now, this particular one was a 2014 study published in the Journal of Applied Sports Psychology, who found that gratitude increased athletes' self-esteem, which of course is vital to optimal performance. And there are also other studies that have shown that gratitude reduces a person's tendency to compare themselves to others. So instead of being jealous of people, which actually reduces your self-esteem, you will actually be inspired by other people's accomplishments, which is kind of what I was speaking about earlier. Yes, but it's interesting, isn't it, Chris?
So, I mean, it's quite interesting as well. It's a sort of chemistry as well. The more you give out and it comes back to you as well, you start automatically feeling better. It builds your confidence and your self-esteem, which you're a better performer at the end of the day. So it's great.
I think it's sometimes just maybe about sort of kind of getting rid of those negative emotions that are inside of you, because when you have anything negative, whether it's a grudge that we spoke about earlier, envy, you feel low about yourself, all these negative emotions, they just bring you down. They really do.
Not good. You mentioned earlier on as well about negativity, about getting rid of it, and it manifests itself in ways of heart problems and these sort of areas. Now, it's really funny because we take these as just words and attitudes, but our attitude and gratitude really makes a big difference to how we perform. So it's important. Release the grudges.
Definitely. And number 7 is gratitude increases your mental strength. Now, apparently gratitude plays a major role in overcoming trauma. So a 2003 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that gratitude was a major contributor to resilience following the terrorist attacks on September the 11th. So when you recognize everything that you have to be grateful for, even in really bad times, you're actually mentally stronger. So this one's a really powerful point, I think.
It's a really powerful point. I mean, we're talking about mental strength, also, which incorporates our immune system as well, you know, so it helps us fight against a lot of things. To get that stability as well, you know your self-worth then as well, in that gratitude. And not only to receive and saying the thank you to everyone, saying thank you, you know your self-worth.
And actually, going back to this point as well, this point actually relates to our two real-life stories that we had earlier, because if you think about it, those two, Jacqueline and Glenn, humanly speaking, they had every reason to be angry, to feel resentful, to be angry at the world.
Yes.
They had every reason to, humanly speaking, but like I said before, you know, they used their brains and could see that those kind of feelings, those emotions weren't helping them at all. And this is why it's so important not to hold on for. So even like the people that were involved in the bombings, you know, there's some that, for example, I know of one, for example, that she lost both her legs in the bombings, but she's now an athlete, Paralympic athlete. So
that is amazing.
So she's done something positive with something really bad that happened. But I know there's others that were involved in those bombings that it's just torn their life apart.
And the fact they can actually release it and forgive and move on is part of that healing at the end of the day. There's gratitude behind everything. You know, sometimes we look at situations that are really bad and we think the worst of it and we hold on to it and we think, if only I could get them back, if only I can. You are not going to heal in any kind of way there. It's going to take, well, you will heal, but it'll be a longer process than somebody has just mentioned, who actually lets go, release, move on with their life. I mean, I'd take my hat off to them. If I had a hat, I'd take it off to you.
Okay, so just a point that I'd like to stress though, don't mix up being grateful with accepting whatever life throws at you. So for example, oh, my partner is abusive, but I'm grateful that I have a partner because there are lots of other people out there who are by themselves. Or for example, in my case, as before in the past, I'm depressed, but at least I'm not sick. So these kind of things, this is not what we're saying on this program, because there are, you know, certain situations that you will go through in life and certain problems that you have. I'm a believer in searching for solutions and improving your life.
That's correct.
I don't believe in, like, as I said, when I was depressed, something inside of me kept kind of telling me this isn't how life is meant to be. And that kind of, just that little voice inside, that it kind of kept pushing me to look for a solution to my problems until I found one. So you can't, obviously it's up to you what you do, but I would say don't accept problems in your life as normal and say, okay, it's okay because at least I'm not as bad as that person. At least, you know, I'm not sick like that person. Okay, that's that person. What about you? Just think about yourself for now and improving your life and being grateful for what you have already, but also striving to get better and get better things out of life as well. Why should you have anything less? You deserve the best.
Much as you say, it's a cycle that goes round instead, going through it, coming out on the other end and saying, thank you for that. At the end of the day. That's what it's about. Not acceptance, no, completely. I totally agree with that, because sometimes there is that situation after hearing someone else and saying, well, I accept this, I accept that happened to me, and that's the way it is, and just, no, it's not. It's not, you know, and you've got to move from one place to another. But gratitude. Appreciate what's actually happening, where you can actually take it, how you can actually use it at the end of the day.
That's the thing, exactly, because if you like overcome a big problem in your life, you can help others. This is what I'm doing today. This is why we have this TV show. If I hadn't, if I just said to myself, well, I'm depressed, but at least I'm not sick, at least I have a good family, I would have stayed stuck in that situation or got much worse. Actually, I was on the road to getting worse. But the fact that I pushed through that, yes, I was grateful for my family, I was grateful for all the good things that I had in my life, but still I didn't want to be depressed, so I fought against it. And that's the only reason that I'm able to do this program today, to help you guys at home that might be going through something, so you inspire other people as well. That's another great reason too.
That's really interesting. You know, I heard this quote and it said that great teachers don't have big IQs, they have great big hearts. And that's part of that, because of what you actually went through and being able to actually give that back and help others at the same time. That is brilliant. I'm sure there's a lot of thanks out there in that.
Yeah, definitely. Chris, tell us a few things that you're grateful for before we go.
Wow, you know what? I wake up in the morning, I'm grateful for being alive. I'm grateful I'm grateful for my wife as well, who takes care of everything while I keep going. I'm grateful for the work I do as well and the people that I meet along the way.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the fact of actually, well, while we're here at this very moment, I'll say it to all of you as well, I'm grateful to work with you all at the same time. But seriously, working with someone and seeing people transform their lives from where they were to where they get to is amazing. I'm really grateful to be hired and to be able to do that. You know, so
that's excellent.
I'm grateful.
And I'm also grateful for, obviously my husband and my family and all the, all the people that I work with as well. And obviously I'm very grateful to have you viewers at home watching the show as well and emailing and, giving us your comments as well. So do please give us your comments as well. Okay, so let's wrap up the show, Chris, because we are running out of time. So we should all have the attitude of gratitude, as it's one of the simplest ways to improve your satisfaction with life. And it's better to have a positive outlook on things in general than to be and think negatively all the time. So today I hope you guys at home enjoyed the show as much as I have, and that's all we have time for today. But if you have a story to tell us, do contact us by filling in the form on chrissybshow.tv. Also, if you want to know more about how I beat depression for good, visit my website, mylifeafterdepression.com. Take care, everyone. Until next time, bye for now.